everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Bookseller Bill versus the Insurmountable to be read pile. I'm Bookseller Bill, and today I'm going to pull some books out of the pile that were my favorites by Black authors that I've read in these last couple of months in isolation. So these are some of the ones I liked a lot. So we have Little Family. This is by Ishmael Bea. You may remember Ishmael Bea from A Long Way Gone. This book is out now, and it deals with a group of young people in a made-up African country just trying to survive while one of them is being seduced by the wealthy groups of people who live in vacation there. It's really lovely. It's an easy read, quick read, and Ishmael Bea has got a real way with words. Next up, completely different, Elia Dawn Johnson, Trouble the Saints. So Trouble the Saints is a sort of a urban fantasy, and it's set during the Harlem Renaissance with gangsters and malls and people who have magical powers. And so it's an all African American cast. It's a really fun read, kind of reads like almost like a Quentin Tarantino type movie, but very... There's different levels to this one. It's quite wonderful and a lot of fun. It's a fun book. So we don't have to only be stodgy historical novels here. Next up, we have Britt Bennett, who is one of my favorite new voices in African American literature. She did an amazing book called The Mothers a few years ago, and The Vanishing Half, I think, just came out. So this is a wonderful book from Riverhead. Vanishing Half deals with two sisters who, one has very light skin, one has very dark skin, and the complications that arise over almost 50 years, multi-generations, with these two sisters and how their separation leads to future complications, especially with their children. Really gets into racism within the community as well, and how people deal with that. I thought it was a wonderful read, one of my favorites of the year easily. Speaking of favorites of the year easily, this is fabulous. So S.A. Cosby is one of only like 60 black male mystery writers. There's hardly any out there, and I don't know why. It seems like a genre since Chester Himes was writing that would be rife with new writers, who, but apparently not. Either the publishers are not taking chances on them. Probably that's the case. But now finally some are, and Blacktop Wasteland is wonderful. So this is a noir novel about a driver who drives things for bank robberies, for instance. But if you can imagine Baby Driver, for instance, the film, but done with an African-American slant, and this really gets into some issues like, why are people rebelling now? What is going on? Why is there sustained poverty within that community? It's just wonderful. It's fun. It's fast. It's going to make a hell of a movie one day. I can't wait. And another one of my favorites that I read by Mbola Mbui. She is an African writer, and this is about a made-up African country, and it follows one young girl through her childhood there when everyone is dying because an American company has come in and installed a factory, and it's pouring things into nature that is killing everybody. But because of the way things are and who's in charge, the poor villagers are ignored and are just dying left and right, and how one young woman leads a rebellion. Is it successful? Is it not? This is a beautiful novel, tragic, funny, sweet, but with a very cold edge. It's How Beautiful We Were. That is an amazing title, which gives you a real hint at what's going to be coming, and it's just wonderful. I can't recommend that one highly enough. And if that's not enough for you, I would also recommend these books, which were not in this pile. However, I read them just before the pile started. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. Great like book club read about a black babysitter for a white woman, and the white woman thinks she's doing everything right, and yet her privilege is showing. It's really, really wonderful. And a real good book for a book club just because there's so much to talk about after you read it. You just want to grab people and talk about it. N.K. Jemisin, one of the best science fiction writers I've ever had the luxury to read, has a new book out now called The City We Became. It is the most New York novel ever. So this is in which the boroughs inhabit, as in possessing people. So 5 different people are possessed by 5 different parts of the boroughs, and it's the 5 boroughs of New York. And there's a danger coming to New York. So this is definitely science fiction fantasy, very exciting, very thrilling, great fast pace, lots of homages to people like H.P. Lovecraft, who, let's be honest, deserves a good kick in the pants. So it's just delightful. And what she does to Staten Island. So you're going to love it. I still am recommending very highly Deacon King Kong by James McBride, which is a crime novel, very much like in the Clockers, Richard Price vein, very much like The Wire, for instance, of one man who's an alcoholic and how he just goes up and shoots a drug dealer one day, and then you get the story of how that came to be. Utterly unputdownable. And finally, I would like to recommend highly The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, A-T-T-A. I wish I had it here. It is spectacular book. The writing in this is so beautiful. It's written for young adults, although as an adult I read it and got a lot out of it. And it's also written in poetry. So the whole thing is in verse, and some of it is done in very spectacular verse that makes designs across pages, dealing with a young boy. He is mixed race, Greek and Jamaican, and he's young, he's gay, and how he finds a voice in the drag community. So this not only deals with people in the black community, but also people in the gay community, and how support can come and how it can be a better thing. And it's just a wonderful, delightful book. You can read it very quickly, but you'll want to reread portions of it again just because the language is so utterly beautiful. And that's it. There's a lot more out there, guys, if you investigate, but these are some of the ones I would recommend right now. And if you go outside, be careful. I hope you're out there raising your voice, and I would like to tell everyone to read a good book by a black writer. Let's get their voices heard.